This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Marape Russell government committed to Bougainville affairs. 3 election petitions challenging the Madang governor's seat before court. And more incentives for countries who thrive on rainforests. Good evening, you're watching National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. We begin with news from Bougainville. And the signing of the Era Kone Covenant earlier this year has provided evidence for the government to formulate a pathway to bring forward the results of the Bougainville referendum to the National Parliament for a decision. This was alluded to by the minister responsible for Bougainville affairs, Manasseh Makiba, in a media release. Minister Makiba said the Marape Russell government is committed to bringing the results of the referendum and report on consultation to the Parliament for a decision. Minister Manasseh Makiba shared these sentiments after the Bougainville minister responsible for Independence Mission and Implementation, Ezekiel Massat, released a media statement earlier, deferring the meeting of the Joint Supervisory Body and nationwide awareness and consultation on the Bougainville referendum. Minister Makiba brushed aside claims that technical discussions have not progressed due to inaction by the national government. It is understood the Bougainville government has put forward a range of options for the crafting of a proposed constitutional regulation. These were either consistent with the Era Kone Covenant or the provisions of our constitutional laws. This advice was conveyed to the Bougainville government before the 2022 national general election. According to Minister Makiba, this decision was agreed to by both sides at that time. It was agreed that further dialogue will be paused pending the election of a new national government and a minister, by which advice would be sought. Minister Makiba has assured the autonomous Bougainville government that he has been working to bring forward appropriate measures that can be in a constitutional regulation or constitutional amendments to enable the results of the referendum to be tabled on the floor of Parliament in line with Section 342 of the National Constitution. According to the media release, the Bougainville Peace Agreement specifically states that the National Parliament has the final decision authority. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News. 3 election petitions challenging the declaration of the Madang Governor Ramsey Pariwa and the Electoral Commission were listed for hearing today at the National Court. The election petitioners on respective cases were Sir Peter Yama, Jerry Singirok, and James Kuas. Election petition directions hearing commenced today at the National Courthouse. Petitions filed against the declaration of the Governor for Madang, Ramsey Pariwa, and the Electoral Commission of PNG. Walking out were the petitioners and lawyers. Governor Pariwa was present for court hearing, including Sir Peter Yama and Jerry Singirok. 3 petitioners challenging the declaration of the Madang regional seat saw former Madang Governor Sir Peter Yama, Jerry Singirok, and James Kuas. The cases heard before Justice Joseph Yagi saw a satisfaction in the draft orders, and the court has granted approval. The election petition cases will return on next month for further directions by the court. Meanwhile, an election petition filed by Sir Peter Yama, the former governor for Madang Province, challenging the sitting Governor Ramsey Pariwa and the Electoral Commission of Papua New Guinea, was before the National Court for Directions hearing today at the National Court, Waigani. Sir Peter Yama, the former governor of Madang Province, has took the stance in the Court of Disputed Returns by challenging the status of the sitting Governor Ramsey Pariwa as absolutely void or invalid, as pursuant under Section 202 of the Organic Law on National and Local Level Government Election.
The matter this afternoon that was heard before Justice Joseph Yagi saw that the court was satisfied by the amendment draft presented by Yama's lawyer Ben Lomai.
Amend the draft correction rules, and then this afternoon we came and handed it up to the judge, and the judge was satisfied with it, and he approved it. So basically, all the management of the case are contained in the draft. We have now adjourned to the 19th of December for free trial, which means that when we come back, then we probably will get a date for the hearing of the other matters, including applications as well that can be done and notice to other parties.
An order made in terms of the draft was that the parties are to return for pre-trial on Monday, the 19th of December 2022. The National Executive Council has appointed the contracts of 3 public servants. Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai, Governor General of Papua New Guinea, today officiated at the employment contract signing of 3 senior public servants at the Government House this morning. They are Major General Mark Goyner as Commander and Chief of PNG Defence Force for a period of 4 years, which commenced on the 21st December 2021. Mr. Richard Yakam as Chief Trade Officer with the National Trade Office for a period of 4 years, and Mr. Samson Toravi as Provincial Administrator for East Sepik Provincial Administration for a period of 4 years. The appointments made by the National Executive Council have been gazetted in the National Gazette. The Coalition for Rainforest Nation begins in 2004 by the Prime Minister of PNG at the time the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare was Prime Minister and the President of Costa Rica, Abel Pacheco. The nation's founding father called on the world to unify and halt worldwide tropical deforestation. The result was his founding, the organization Coalition for Rainforest Nations, an international non-profit entity and a recognized United Nations negotiating group based in New York, with $100 billion needed to save the world's tropical rainforests. Managing Director of Coalition for Rainforest Nations, Federica Bieta, speaking from COP27 in Egypt, is hopeful that many smaller nations who have unified with the worldwide call to halt deforestation get positive incentives. She also revealed that $100 billion is needed annually to save the world's rainforests.
The late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare was a committed environmentalist and recognized across the world as a pioneering leader of rainforest nations in their efforts to find sustainable solutions to stop deforestation. PNG's success reducing emissions over the years on a national level is a remarkable testament to Sir Michael's vision. As a result, the Coalition of Rainforest of Nations was born with 7 member nations. In an interview where the climate change meet is happening in Egypt, the managing director of the Coalition of Rainforest of Nations, Federica Bieta, gave an insight into the non-profit organization.
And the issue we're trying to address is we have not caused the climate change issues, but we're feeling the pain as a developing country, rainforest countries. We can be part of the solution if there is a positive incentive. And then talking with other rainforest countries, they have all the same problem. We don't like to cut forest, but there is an economic incentive to do that. If you put palm oil, if you produce coffee, if you produce cocoa, you get money. If you keep your forest standing, at that time, there was no economic incentive to do that.
Since 2004, there has been little positive incentives from the much larger nations to smaller nations like PNG and others that thrive on forestry. And with $100 billion annually earmarked to save the world's rainforest, Federica Bieta is hopeful.
The commitment climate finance is $100 billion for everything. It's definitely not enough. The sad part is not even this materialized. If you can look behind me, we're saying there is $100 billion is only needed for the rainforest per year, because that's the reduction that can come at scale from the rainforest. Without the rainforest, we cannot achieve the Paris Agreement of 1.5, and so So we really need to incentivize public, but also private, to pay for rainforest, to keep their forest standing, and for the service they're producing for the war at the moment for free.
The nation's founding father and full-time Prime Minister, the late Sir Michael Somare, was universally acclaimed as a global environmentalist through his commitment to the advancement of tropical rainforest conservation. The late Grand Chief Sir Michael was internationally respected for his wisdom. As the world leaders discuss issues pertinent to climate change in Egypt, their reflections empower his legacy forward to reward rainforest nations for all conservation efforts that they are doing for our planet. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break with an update on the Kiriwina clash in the Milne Bay province and more. Do stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Police criminal investigation team has been deployed to the Kiriwina Islands in the Milne Bay province to further investigate and prepare for a coronial inquest into the fight that occurred last month. Milne Bay's Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Peter Baki has confirmed that more than 20 lives were lost during the fight.
PPC Baki has confirmed with EMTV News via telephone today that a CID team from the provincial capital Alatau have been deployed to Kiriwina for further investigations after the Quick Reaction Force completed its assessment of a situational report on the island. PPC Superintendent Baki further added that locals from the inland villages were most wounded, with a total of 17 deaths. Baki explained that the fight was intense between the coastal villages and the inland people. He has confirmed that a firearm was used in the fight, resulting in 3 people being killed on the spot. PPC Baki wants the coroner to be involved because of the high number of deaths. He said this is a first-of-its-kind incident on the island. Talks are already underway with the provincial magistrate for the courts to be involved after police investigations. PPC Baki has confirmed, however, that government and private properties were not touched or damaged during the fight. It is understood the fight erupted between villages of the southern end of Kiriwina Island and around Luisia Station. PPC Baki has confirmed that normalcy has been restored, with businesses operating again and people returning to their usual island chores. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
A 3-day provincial development forum is being held at Daru Island, South Fly District in the Western Province this week. All directors from development partners and provincial leaders, including districts, gathered to witness issues affecting the progress of development in the province.
Representatives from development partners like Okteri Mining Limited, Okteri Development Foundation, Papua New Guinea Sustainable Development Program, among others, during the forum highlighted that geographical challenges and logistics issues have been the major hindrance of the delivery of services within Western Province. Despite these challenges, all are being urged to work in partnership to bring changes in rural communities. Western Governor Taboy Awiyoto says his people deserve to access vital services like roads, schools, health centers, and business activities, among others, in the province. Therefore, the Fly River Provincial Government will continue to work with development partners to achieve their plans.
We came up with a vision that we will have a healthy people, educated people, with a bit of money in their pockets. So that was the vision in 2018. And we are here to review that by telling our stories, what we've been doing in the last 5 years, so we can appreciate what we've done, what are the challenges, and what we need to do, what we need to include, so that we can now, based on our last 5 years, put a new chart forward for the next 5 years.
Key development pathways of Western Province is health, agribusiness, education, and enabling infrastructures that all residents in Western Province have been urged to work together for the betterment of development here in Western Province. Jim John, National EMTV News, Daru.
Western Province has the potential to develop further if all leaders, stakeholders and development partners work together. This was discussed during the 3rd Provincial Development Forum held at Daru Island in the South Fly District yesterday.
3-day Western Provincial Development Forum is an effort to reviewing previous development plans and to address issues faced within the 4 districts respectively and province as a whole. Through the initiative of Fly River Provincial Government and other development partners, organized the interactive forum in outlining implementations and enforcement, policy framework and the future development of the province. The development issues faced within 4 districts are the responsibility of individuals and how they use resources around them. Speaking at the forum, the newly elected member for Delta Fly, Agena Gamai, said that his people deserve to live in a proper developed district.
In the district, we don't have the BSB bank. We don't have the existing power supply, supplying the whole town of our Balimo town. And we don't have water supply. And our people, they travel to Daru for banking and withdrawing and depositing. It has been a very struggling times that we have experienced that.
He says these issues need to be fixed and all must work together to serve the people. Limited health facilities, lack of educational infrastructures in remote villages, roads and others need to be addressed so that people in rural communities are saved. Carrying out key policies for changes in Western Province is important, and provincial government is working closely with development partners to ensuring issues being discussed is addressed in the future. Jim John, National EMTV News, Daru.
The Papua New Guinea National Research Institute has released its discussion paper on the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on the employment of young people in wholesale and retail service sector in Port Moresby. The paper was written by Dr. Francis Odhuno, Dr. Joseph Muniu, and Dr. Ngui using data collection through a field survey. The report was launched by Associate Professor Ora Renagi, Orwell Vice Chancellor of PNG University of Technology, at the PNG University of Technology in Lae, Morobe Province.
During the research, the authors looked at changes in 3 outcomes: changes in the number of days the young people worked in a week, change in their employment workload, and their feelings about the future of their employment. NRI found that generally there was a freeze in hiring during the pandemic, and in some instances, layoffs and furloughs affected young people working in the city's retail and wholesale service sector. Increased employment workload for those working for more than 4 days in a week and those who were able to work from home. Sections such as finance and accounting, where automation could replace labor, reported reduced number of employees. Those who worked for 3 days or less in a week were more pessimistic about the future of their employment. They feared losing their jobs if the pandemic persisted. With these effects, the authors made recommendations for future pandemic or economic crisis that these effects can be tackled through some measures as follows. Furloughs rather than layoffs should be used cautiously, since young people made to work less days during the pandemic were likely to be concerned about their future employment prospects. It is not clear whether all these on furlough leave got their jobs back after the pandemic subsided. The option of working from home should also be used cautiously. It can lead to some employees being overworked. Majority of frontline workers are female. Targeted policies to cater for employment effects of pandemics on young employees should not be gender-specific. NRI stated that this research paper intends to provide guidance in the private business sectors to be ready for future pandemic or economic crisis that might hit the country. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at 0.2840 in the interbank market this morning. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina today will buy 0.4244 Australian dollars, 0.2765 US dollars, 0.4638 New Zealand dollars, 40.19 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed higher, copper closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, copper closed higher. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the All Ordinaries is trading higher, the ASX 200 is also trading higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. The Pacific Institute of Leadership and Governance today signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the National Research Institute in Port Moresby. The MOU is aimed at consolidating and strengthening cooperation between the two state institutions on how best to serve the country going forward.
PNG NRI Director Hosbon Saninda highlighted that the MOU reflects the mutual value both institutions hold in terms of expansion and strengthening of research and training for the benefit of PNG. He added that the partnership focuses single collaboration into key areas that includes service improvement program challenges, public service policy and administrative reforms, effectiveness and efficiency of public service machinery, workplace research through PILAC's course participants, and research-informed training.
Trying to implement a lot of policies at national and sub-national. So perhaps through this collaboration we can together try to analyze and understand the different policies of the country and especially public policies, how they are working, so that we can contribute to making them work better, so that we contribute to informed decision-making to improve the welfare of our people.
PILAC CEO Michael Barraby highlighted that such partnership is vital to ensure effective service delivery in the public sector. He added that it is only fitting for the two state agencies to collaborate.
And that's how it fits well. The two institutions to work together so that we alleviate or we reduce the deficiencies within the public sector performance. So it's a very good opportunity for NRI to come on board, because our research can also extend right to the district wards and allergies. Because at PILAC, we get our participants from those sectors.
Barraby further emphasized that when NRI wants to research about service delivery, PILAC will be in assistance with its vast background knowledge of the function of various government departments.
We would know much about how government is functioning through a direct interview, talking to people. So these people are here, and that has been missing so long. So I'm happy to partner with NRI to come on board. We work together. NRI herself said, is the agency that says what needs to be done. And PILAC is here to implement through a number of training programs that we hear.
This MOU also covers the staff exchange program between the two institutes. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Concerns have been raised by the Farmers and Settlers Association, incorporated for the government to pull in all key agencies that are responsible for securing a better and conducive operating environment for business and the people of PNG, and also the public service delivery. Representing major employers, exporters, and big agricultural processing companies and rural companies, the association has suggested for the Prime Minister's department to step up and change the implementation mechanism of the various government interventions to stimulate the economy.
The association president, Wilson Thompson, pleaded for the government to divert from what he described as the artificial support, such as the price support, grants and subsidies, and focused on more large-scale agriculture projects and move into more downstreaming processing, manufacturing and import and export substitution activities. Thompson added that regardless of the government interventions in various sectors, the impact to the economy stands negative, and that regardless of funding made available by the Marape government, the monies is not trickling down to the real farmers and small businesses in various communities throughout the country. Mr. Thompson also added that the continued disruption to power and water supply poses a significant threat to trade operation, especially to areas outside of Port Moresby. He said to resolve such issues affecting businesses and to improve on increasing production, imports, replacement and downstreaming processing, the government departments and agencies and state-owned enterprise has to be efficient and reliable to ensure there is productivity and production. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
And now moving to overseas news. And to this year's COP27, which is the United Nations Climate Summit being held in Egypt, with the attendees told that the world is not doing enough to limit warming to 1.5 degrees.
Nations, including Australia, are coming under pressure to address the costs of extreme weather events. There's been an agreement to discuss compensating poorer nations for damage linked to climate change. The first time in decades of climate talks that the issue has been actually on the agenda. Australia is also lobbying to host the conference in 2026 along with Pacific nations.
Ukraine capital Kiev is preparing for possible citywide power outages, with residents urged to consider relocating in recent weeks.
Millions of Ukrainians have been intermittently left without electricity and water as Russian airstrikes target vital infrastructure. Rolling power cuts are also in place to avoid overloads and to allow for repairs. Kiev's mayor says residents should prepare for the worst.
Ми робимо все для того, щоб цього не відбулося.
We are doing everything to prevent this from happening, but let's be honest, our enemies are doing everything to ensure that the city is without heat, electricity and water supply, and in general, that we all die. This is their task, and the future of our country and our future with you, each of us, depends on how well we will be prepared for different situations and how well we can withstand them.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Santos PNG Orchids have successfully claimed 2 wins so far in their Rugby League World Cup campaign. They are through to the knockout semi-final stage and are scheduled to meet England in Leeds come Thursday at 5:30 a.m. PNG time.
The Santos PNG Orchids are poised for their clash against England, scheduled for this Thursday morning in Leeds.
Offloaded, Guasamonte's going to crash over and score, far side of the field.
The squad will have a captain's run tomorrow in their final hit-out before taking on the Red Roses. The match against England will determine who finishes top of the pool, with the winner to advance to face Australia or New Zealand in the final, while the loser bids goodbye to a shot at becoming world champions. PNG RFL chairman Sandy Saka, in a press release circulated by PNG RFL yesterday, stated that the girls were outstanding and wished them well in the semi-final to lock a place in the final. The Orchids have done extremely well at this World Cup compared to the previous one, where they did not win one match. Lisa Puni, Chukai Sports.
Fiji has beaten PNG 2-0 in the opening clash of the Pacific Four Nations Cup, which is currently being staged at Canberra, Australia. The tournament commenced today and will run from the 8th to the 13th of November 2022.
In the opening clash of the Pacific Four Nations Cup, our Golden Girls, the PNG Lewas, were a far shadow of the team that won the Women's Cup in Fiji, losing 2-0 to Fiji.
Can you pop it off here for NASA? What an opportunity for Fiji, and they take the lead.
Our girls now prepare to face Solomon Islands on Thursday and host nation Australia on Sunday.
Just up to 10 minutes of the second half. Played.
The tournament will run for 6 days, which will see senior women's national teams of Fiji, PNG, Solomon Islands and Australia compete in a series of double-header round robins.
Kuma Anu Palpa.
The Pacific Four Nations Championships is the outcome of a partnership with the Australian government and the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs through Pacific Oar Sports.
The reverse ball for Yandin.
With the ceasing of former PNG Lewas coach Nicola de main contract, following a victorious showing at the Women's Oceania Cup in Fiji in July of this year, it is unclear whether this domestic issue has affected the performance of our Lewas.
Picked up by Gunimba.
Moving forward, the Lewas need to pick up in order to make their presence known in this tournament as they prepare for a place at the 2023 Women's FIFA World Cup qualifiers in February. Lisa Puni, Chukai Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
You're watching Chukai Sports. The Port Moresby Basketball Association will stage its grand final games at the St. John Geist Indoor Complex. The change of venue as scheduled is due to the Volleyball Championships, which will be held at the Taurama Aquatic and Indoor Center, as it will commence competition tomorrow and will reach completion on Monday next week. This announcement was disseminated by POMBA Vice President Lawrence Lahari to the media today. Hohola Season Proper Games started last Friday with over 30 participating teams from various parts of Port Moresby. President Kambi Inigman said after not playing for 2 years straight, the tournament attracted so many youths since the start of the competition.
President Kambi says despite a 2-year break from COVID-19, the tournament attracted more than 30 participating teams. Kambi said it was great to see the interest from various teams in the city.
Ola Gero Morota, Begeni, 4 Mile, Mari Barex, any old Sava Bola put in under schoolboys team blow, junior rugby league, and by Iger under 12, under 14, under 16. So in that way, Oberlining rugby law, Lily level, law under 14. 16, 18, once all come 18 number, under 18 all can go into law, under 20 blow PRL, A grade, or from the junior rugby league, you get a Port Moresby NCDC Vipers, academic to start, and pathway blow. So I'm make him lay, I'm like a Karimol go into law, Vipers. Now I'm governor, I'm Starbucks, blow me plus, so me plus, big blow, thank you, law governor.
Kambi also mentioned that during the school holidays, a lot of youth might end up hanging around doing nothing. They are set to participate in the tournament.
All our opposition blame me. Go finish then. We get NCDC Super 9s, which Governor I'm aware. I'm officially start backset and Bafandim NCDC Super 9s. Okay. Backset let me get junior NCDC Junior Rugby League. So NCDC Junior Rugby League mostly you look him school boys team, plenty of school boys team. Also put it in bar. All Mangilo school all let no play. You get all Mangilo settlement na all no school na home school na number. Also go take part na. Also play.
Next weekend will witness round 2 of the season proper. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report for the next 24 hours is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Now we take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, Port Moresby City, possible patchy rain tonight, then partly cloudy. Daru, overnight rain showers and thunderstorms, then cloudy. Kerema, cloudy with early morning rain periods. Alotau, cloudy periods with morning patchy rain. Popondetta, cloudy with few showers and possible thunderstorms. In Momase region, Lay City, rain showers and thunderstorms overnight, then cloudy. Madang, overnight rain showers and thunderstorms, easing to cloudy periods. Wewak, cloudy periods with morning showers. Vanimo, mostly cloudy with morning shower or two. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, partly cloudy with morning showers likely. Kavieng, mostly cloudy overnight with patchy rain. Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy overnight with patchy rain and thunderstorms. Kimbe, cloudy periods with morning rain showers and thunderstorms. Buka, cloudy periods with morning rain showers and thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, overnight rain showers and thunderstorms, then morning fog. Goroka and Kundiawa, overnight rain showers with thunderstorms, then morning fog. Mendi and Wabeg, patchy rain with possible thunderstorms, then morning fog. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru, to Kerema to Yule Island, to Hood Point to Samarai Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Islands to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas 0.5 to 1 meters. Waters of Cape Vogel to Huon Gulf to Finchafen, seas 0.3 to 1 meters. Waters of Finchafen through Whittier Strait to CSE and Long Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters north of Long Island to Madang, to Wewak, to Vanimo, and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Coral Sea, sea slight to moderate southeast winds of 10 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea, sea smooth to slight. Southwest to westerly winds of 5 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, sea slight northwest winds of 10 to 15 knots. Pacific Ocean, sea slight northwest to northerly winds of 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Tuesday, 8th of November 2022. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.